like they just did with this story with Flacco, you know. Anyway, I went to Tom Flacco's website, and he had an open forums there where anybody could register and post. So immediately I began posting, you know, why Stu Webb and Hennigan were disinformers. Number of back and forth banters ensued for a couple of days, and all of a sudden Flacco pulls his website from where it was and puts it at another site where you cannot post in a forums area. In other words, take my word for it, nobody else's. And he says he couldn't post to his website, even though the original post was made by him. He could have responded at any time. He didn't want any counter information to his propaganda on his website. So he accused his webmaster, White Star, a guy named Bob, of not allowing him access to his site. It's a complete crock. He lied. And look who props up these liars, folks. Look who's buddies with Stewie and Hartwell. Al Martin Rod, Gerald Sosby, who's the other one, you know, Skolnick, Sherman Skolnick. He's constantly put up on Cloak and Dagger. After this incident at Genesis, we went to Truth Radio. Clay Douglas, who is also a good anti-Zionist, explained the story of how Republic Radio, started by Mark Kroenke, was usurped by Genesis, and what had happened there. We then began, you know, doing some radio shows there at Truth. Well, gosh golly gee, here comes Jeremy Floyd over to Truth Radio, and this little information battle ensues. The owner there, a guy named Richard Palmquist, lied in some emails and forged a email address from Don Betcher, who didn't even have a computer, trying to enlist me in this argument. And then he played games with the finances that were required to keep the show going there. So now you can hear the show if you go online to www.libertytreeradio.4mg.com. And I'm generally on there Sundays, and I'm supposed to be on there tomorrow night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's Indiana time, which God knows what that is, Sherry. What is that, Central Time?
That would be, if you're 7 to 8, Indiana time would be 8 to 9 Eastern.
But, you know, no good deed went unpunished at Genesis Radio. So I'm telling you, folks, they're hiding the critic. It's like an onion. You know, there's layer after layer after layer. They don't care if you get them outer layers as long as you don't get to the core of the onion. That's the gist. And I encourage feedback. If there's any clip that you want a copy of, you know, you can go to the Yahoo groups and go to WorldCom, and they're in the files area. You can email me direct at hightech1@bluemarble.net.
Yeah, you're one of these guys that just keeps meticulous files on everything. I don't save anything.
Well, see, that's the thing. My newsletters were almost also like a daily journal. If I had an interaction or a conflict, it was documented there. That's why these freaks have had such problems, because I have the documentation to show that they're liars.
You probably have emails I wrote you 3 years ago saved.
If they were information I posted in the newsletters, probably.
Yeah, and you know,
we've all grown and learned from what we've seen on the internet.
Yeah, and you can always just pull back and say, you said this 2 years ago, you said this 3 years ago, and I've seen you do it with a lot of these disinfo people to prove that they're lying, and how their stories change over the time, and I've helped you uncover and expose a couple of these people. When they've come out, they always change their handles. When one gets outed, they just change their name and come back.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like Barbara Hartwell is now posting under the name Sherwood Percival. Her website's been removed.
I've never really gotten into the whole Barbara Hartwell thing.
Well, again, it's kind of a sideline. I try and treat it just like a sideline, but it's important.
Well, she doesn't come against
there's other people out there that believe they're crap.
She doesn't come up against me at all. So the people that just amuse me, like Stu Webb, or other people that I have to just counterclaim, waste my time.
Here's an example that was important. You know, the business between Joyce Riley and Linda Kennedy. Who's telling the truth there? Well, I found it very interesting. There was a Yahoo group called the Power Hour. It wasn't, anything officially, tied to them or the Power Hours. Just somebody started this. But here comes William Lewis, Police State 2000, and he's the one that did and directed the In Plain Sight video that they had. And he set up a bogus email addy and pretended that, gosh, guys, there's a new website out, a new Yahoo group that's attacking Linda Kennedy. Check it out. And it was him. The IP address and everything, it was him. He finally admitted that, but at first he denied it. You know, it was a game he played. And he also posted for Israel, again, for the Zionists. I mean, these are very telling red flags, folks. There might be some truth in the movie In Plain Sight, but again, what's their core agenda? This guy has consistently come out and smacked Linda Kennedy. Linda Kennedy has a series of questions. It's like Joyce come on the other day and said, well, do you believe I was in the military now? Well, I see you in this uniform, but that wasn't what Linda Kennedy said. She said you weren't in the military during the 1991 Gulf War. And she has a document that she got, Freedom of Information Act, that supposedly proves this. Now, if people can't ask questions without demonizing the messenger, I think there's a problem there. So you're getting some truth, yeah, and I do listen to them because you can tell sometimes when they're giving you truth and sometimes when it's disinformation. Now, it's very interesting today, this morning, that they were again talking about the Bush indictment story, and Dave was citing it, and Joyce said she distanced herself away from it, saying, I haven't seen any independent confirmation of that. And that was very, very interesting. So apparently they felt the heat on this. She knows what a flake stew web is. But then here we have Alex Jones, who has Tom Flacco up on Friday, and apparently that interview is online where you can hear it. You can go to http://infowars.net/AUG05/1508055FLOCCO_interview.htm. Now, again, I read that off kind of quick. If you need the URL, email me at hightech1@bluemarble.net. I haven't listened to this yet. I was going to try and catch it and call in and mention that, you know, you're citing a COINTELPRO perp here. But I didn't hear it, so I didn't get to do that. I just love watching Alex turn purple whenever I call in, which he does.
I've never even listened to his show, not once.
Well, it's very interesting.
And I've never even listened to a Jeff Rense show. I was a guest on there, but I had never listened to a show up to that point.
Now, see, Jeff Rense also had Greg Szymanski on, who, after this came out, I emailed Greg and I said, hey, the guy that you are citing, Tom Hennigan here, is a COINTELPRO fraud. And he comes on Jeff Rense's show and says, I completely support this source. You know, folks, there's a problem there. If somebody won't investigate the material you're checking out, you tell them that they're affiliated with the government spewing out disinformation, they're either incredibly stupid or they have another agenda. Now, Rick Stanley is both. But, again, you also have the American Free Press, who also posted Greg Szymanski's post here, again citing Thomas Hennigan. I'm telling you, folks, this guy is bogus. Anybody that's going to call me, you know, a mind control person working for Ted Gunderson, you know, it's bogus. The only time I've ever talked to Ted Gunderson is on the Stan Solomon Show, which is a local Indiana Zionist here, who now, thank God, is off the air, fortunately, to some of the efforts that I made. And we also had him up on the Intel Report after we moved to Truth Radio, just to give, well, I'm sorry, we had him up on the Intel Report at Genesis after Stewie attacked him.
Yeah.
Just to